What in the wide world of sports is QE? Well, quantitative easing is the greatest magic trick in financial history, maybe human history, because it made trillions of dollars disappear and your wealth disappear at the same time. I'm Casey Marx. I'm the founder of Crown Haven, Bull Baron, Pinecone, Annuity Lock. I've spent 60,000 hours consulting families, helping real American families navigate the damage caused by reckless monetary policy over the course of the last 15 years. I've sat in the rooms where the wealthy protect themselves from these impending storms before they hit. I've seen how governments and banks quietly shift risk onto the public, and I've watched family pay for the decisions they didn't make. It all started with my widowed mother being failed by a system built to protect institutions, not people. That's why I built my companies. That's why I'm exposing the truth. I need people to understand that there is still somebody out there that cares. I care. You deserve to know. So subscribe, share this with somebody. You can follow me at Real Casey A. Marx on X, YouTube. You're just like I am. You're just trying to do your best every day. You deserve the frickin' truth, man. Now let's talk about the lie they've been feeding you about this QE thing. Quantitative easing saved the economy. Okay, that's the lie. What they actually did was inflate asset prices, bail out the wealthy, protect the banks, increase inequality, destroy your purchasing power, and destabilize retirement plans. QE didn't save you. QE diluted you. It reduced the purchasing power of the dollars that you use every day for everyday things. Every dollar that the Fed printed was stolen from your future. They make it sound complicated because it's meant to sound complicated. Quantitative easing. Here's what really happens. This is pretty basic. The Fed creates money out of thin air. They literally create digital dollars with keystrokes. They use those dollars to buy government bonds and mortgage securities. This floods the system with liquidity. Interest rates are dropped artificially. As a result, borrowing gets cheaper. And risk-taking gets rewarded. As a result of that, asset prices explode. Asset prices explode. Stocks skyrocket. Real estate surges. Bonds inflate. Crypto rises. It shoots to the moon, man. People think they're awesome that own those assets as it's happening. Now, everyday Americans, like my parents' parents, before my father drove across the country on a motorcycle to put himself through school, get his MBA, and create a quasi-middle-class childhood for myself before he passed away. But I'm talking about the folks in Sparta, Wisconsin that don't own stocks. They're getting stuck with higher prices and diluted savings. They didn't get the benefit of quantitative easing. They got the fucking bill. QE is not economics. It's engineered inequality. And all the politicians want to talk about inequality over here, inequality over here. We're literally at each other's throats in this country about different ways to structure our society from a political standpoint, completely forgetting the axiomatic foundation upon which we were built in the first place as a republic. All of us with unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we're just tearing each other apart at the seams because of this inequality. It begs the question, where did it come from? It certainly wasn't the companies. Now, are there bad companies? Yeah. But most founders that I've spoken with over the last 15 years, they create jobs, man. They're paying their people well. Why? Because good culture creates good outcomes. Where did the inequality come from? It came from printing trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and manipulating the markets. That's where it came from. If you're gonna call something out, don't hack at the branches, hack at the root. That's the root. So who does QE really protect? Let's make this plain. It protects the banks. Bad loans, they get a bailout. Liquidity issues, solved. Crashing balance sheets, rescued. Period. Banks never face the consequences of their own risk-taking. Have you seen that happen once? QE protects the stock market. When markets panic, the Fed steps in, not because they care about your 401k. They don't even know who you are. But because the financial system itself is built on the asset prices. QE protects the wealthy, who coincidentally also own the stocks that are included in the passive funds that you probably hold in your 401k. They own the real estate, they own the businesses themselves, they own the commodities, they own the bonds. Those are the people that they're protecting, not the middle class, not the young families, not the retirees, the top 1% of society, literally. QE doubled their wealth, man. Look at the wealth gap from 2020 to now. QE protects the government. QE literally keeps the borrowing costs artificially low. Do you think that helps a country that has been issuing its debt to literally so many sovereign nations, which, by the way, is a major problem, like $36 trillion of debt? Just to put this in perspective, if money were a unit of time, $1 million would be like a certain amount of minutes, $1 billion would be like 35 years, $1 trillion is an ice age. 36 ice ages of debt. You think it helps them to keep the rates super low? Because maybe then, just maybe, they'll be able to pay off the debt? Unlikely, but that's another topic. But that's it, that's the whole game. They spend freely, and you pay through inflation. So who does QE hurt? And this is the part that they never admit. Nobody wants to admit this, man. It destroys savers, responsible families, retirees, fixed income investors, young adults trying to build wealth, anyone without assets in the first place, because QE does 4 things that absolutely devastate the average American household. It inflates the cost of living. Everything gets more expensive, permanently. I discussed this in another video. It destroys your purchasing power. Every printed dollar makes your current dollar weaker. It prices you out of asset ownership. Home prices double, stocks triple, your income doesn't. Now the brokerages are trying to solve for this by allowing you to buy stock slices, right? Look back at the 1920s. It creates volatility that punishes the inexperienced. The folks that buy at the top of the boom then get busted, then buy at the top of the boom then get busted, and families get caught in this crossfire. This is not theoretical, folks. This plays out. I've seen it. And the people that create this, the people that manage this, I don't know how they sleep at night. I really don't. The only reason I'm able to stand here and look at you with a straight face and a heart that is full and a mind that's not going nuts right now is because I can go home and look at my wife, and I know that for the past 15 years, I have placed my clients in the best possible position for their lives, exactly how they want to live their lives. And then I've built another company to enable other advisors to do exactly what we do here. And then I've built another company to allow people to choose their own destiny if they want to, and be informed with transparency. And then I've created another company to align folks that are like me, that want to work directly with me. And it's all based on integrity. And I've written a damn book to expose all this. Damn the consequences of the billionaires I've sat down with, or the people that won't like me because of it. I don't care. Because you were a child, you were brought into this earth, and if you're anything like anybody else that I've ever spoken to in my 15 years of running a practice, all you want is your own version of happiness, and you're pursuing it daily, and life is complicated. And it's hard enough as it is. Doesn't need to be made more difficult by people that are artificially manipulating a system or lying to you or omitting information that is material to your outcome, or they just have the right suit on so you trust them and then you get absolutely screwed. It's not cool. And QE is the mother of every financial problems families face today, and you need to understand this. It is not your friend. QE will make you feel rich, then broke. When QE pumps the markets, your 401k will rise. That'll happen. Your home value will rise. Your brokerage account will rise, and you'll think, damn, I'm smart. I'm doing great. Here's the truth. That's not growth, it's inflation in disguise. And eventually, reality catches up. 2022 was the crash, 2023 was the illusion, 2024 to 2025 is the hangover. It is November 18th, 2025. Look at what's happening in the markets over the past week. And what is likely to happen next is the Fed's gonna come in and they're gonna lower rates and they're gonna keep the cycle going a little bit further, save some black swan event that we don't see coming. But then pull up the Cape-Shiller PE index, the cyclically adjusted price to earnings, and tell me that stocks aren't ridiculously overvalued. Pull up housing prices relative to the historical average and tell me those aren't ridiculously overvalued. Pull up gold. Tell me where that's at relative to its historical prices. Pull up Bitcoin. Any asset class. Pull it up. QE is the sugar high the system can't function without, and families can't survive on because it creates a crash. So how do you protect your family from this QE-driven madness? Well, you have no control over QE. You can't vote it away. You might wonder why I get so upset about it. You didn't get a vote on this, okay? You can't ignore it either, but you can beat it. You can own assets that rise when monetary expansion occurs. Stocks that have real pricing power. These would be known as inelastic goods and services. Things that people can't live without. Or you could own real assets, like land. Or you could have protected growth buckets or alternative investments that are not correlated to the broad market. You could create buckets with asymmetric upside potential. I talk about all of this in my book. We apply it here at our office for our clients. And with Bull Baron, man, people are going to get the portfolio that I build for myself because I'm in a different phase than my typical Crown Haven client. For the retired, soon to be retired, in the retirement red zone, I'm 5 to 10 years away from there, or I'm already there. You gotta separate your income replacement from any market volatility. Your income floor in retirement, this is a very easy math equation. People make it seem like it's difficult. It's not. What's your Social Security gonna be? Are you gonna have a pension? Is that gonna cut the figurative mustard? If not, what do the rest of your assets look like? What's the gap? What are you used to making? What are your expenses? What's the gap that you need in order to maintain your standard of living in retirement? What is the amount of money I need to put into a tool that creates an income floor so no matter what happens over here in the market, I'm still okay? That is non-negotiable. That should never depend on stock market performance. And any fiduciary worth their salt, if they were setting up a plan for their mother, would say that. Build liquidity during easy money periods. When the Fed prints money, prepare for the upcoming crash, man, which is exactly what I did with my personal portfolio. I'll tell you, I don't care. So that you can structure your plan to survive both the QE booms and the tightening busts that occur. Because when the bust occurs, all that liquidity that you've created, guess what, baby? You get to deploy it. You don't want to buy Bitcoin at $90,000. You want to buy it at 21. That's not financial advice, by the way. This is generalized. None of this is an investment recommendation. But generally speaking, you don't want to buy an asset when it's at its all-time high or near it. You want to buy it when it's on sale. It's on sale when people panic. Look up how many Fortune 500 companies were created during depressions or recession. The people who had optionality during winter are the ones who win. Because the Fed always overcorrects, man. They always overcorrect. They overcorrected in 2022. They're gonna overcorrect again. Remember, your survival depends on structure, not forecasts. And a brief note on forecasts. The buy-side analysts with their forecasts, it's directly incentivized to get you to buy the equity. You realize this, right? The ratings agencies, they're paid to rate. You think they'd be in business very long if they rated everything poorly? Markets lie, media lies, narratives lie. The finfluencers lie, man, through their teeth. Guess what doesn't lie? Math doesn't lie. It's boring. It doesn't lie. Here's your survival checklist. QE creates money out of nothing. QE inflates asset prices and your cost of living. It protects the bank, Wall Street, and the government. It destroys savers and responsible families. It widens the wealth inequality gap. As a result of this, you need inflation-resistant assets. You need protected income. You need liquidity. And your plan must be immune to Fed policy. These are non-negotiables. QE made the rich richer. It always does. But it made your life harder, more than likely. So you have to protect yourself. I hope this helped somebody out there. I hope it helps how you think about this. I hope it helps the conversations you have with your current advisor. And if you have an advisor who's unwilling to have this conversation, find somebody else. For now, please subscribe, like, share this with somebody that you think it would be valuable for them to hear. Stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping so much more content, and I'm going to be exposing the mechanics behind quantitative easing, inflation, monetary policy, macro forces, the structural designs that quietly drain American families, the media, the insurance machine, the cottage industry to prop up all of these people, the securities industry, banking, you name it, it's all connected. Our debt bubble, the The best investments I've ever made in my life have been in information and knowledge. I'm doing this for free, but when the book comes out, I suggest you get a copy. Until then, be good to each other.